Alright, so now let's look at this past year. Let's look at this past year. This past year is 2022, and then 21, variant 21. Okay, so normally I don't really care about this. I don't really care about it. I just straight away look at the question. Because this is not section A, it's section B. Section B, this one is just for you to read for fun. I would say for fun. And we just straight away jump into it. Alright. So for the first thing here is define. Define is always definition. So this one you got no, basically this one got no cheat or no shortcut or what. You just need to memorize all of them. But when I say memorize, it's a bit hard because there's so many terms, correct or not? So try to understand it and then use your simple English to explain it. Nothing so difficult. Just that sometimes you might not be able to get 2 marks for full. Alright. If let's say you feel like, oh my god, I'm not so sure whether my explanation is correct or not, no worry, just give some example, okay? Application to showcase your understanding. Alright, so this one is the price of currency in terms of another currency. This is the definition of it. And oh yeah, by the way, if you really want to try to practice how to to become better in answering the A question, you can just keep on spamming. Or you guys have a flashcard, just when you do past year, do it in the nowadays there's a lot of apps that can do flashcard. Now you can just do it like that. Okay, and then now let's look at it. Another thing is explain 2 reasons. So we have 2 reasons why the value of the export may be greater than the value of import. So the value of a country export may be greater, which means that it's more expensive, right? By the way, this paper, please download it and print it out or using your iPad or whatever to write it out. Everything here is just blank, so you just fill in the blank. You learn a lot and then you get screenshot along the way, okay? So now don't copy first. Let's look at the first one. I have a trigger. So trigger is, sometimes if you look at this, you might already know it. A lot of times that students already know how to do it, but they do not understand the question. So this one, if I change it, appreciation of currency. Can you understand? Yes, right. Why the currency, you see, value of a country export may be greater, means that why the export is so expensive. Simply to say that currency appreciated. Okay, and what are the factors that causes that cause this kind of appreciation? Either higher demand or lower supply of currency. Isn't it? Then we have 2 reasons. The first one is quality of export may be higher than the quality of other country due to more investment, better education, specialization. This entire thing just to tell you why your export is better. So remember, when we talk about higher export, let's use another color. When we talk about higher export, let's use red. Okay, higher export normally is because of higher international competitiveness. Is it? So when we talk about high international competitiveness, we have 2 things. Either you have lower price or higher quality. So the first one here is quality. Quality is better, therefore you can sell more. Okay, and the first part here is to explain why, and then second thing here, the example here is to show you why they have higher quality. That's it. Okay, and then we have a reason to recession. So recession, lower demand at home result in fewer import, encourage firm to export. So this entire thing here is about what? About lower supply of currency. Why have lower supply of currency? Because of fewer import. You buy lesser imports, of course, you supply lesser currency, and therefore you have you have appreciation of currency, and appreciation of currency will cause your price of export to go up. Can you get it? So you try to understand. You cannot memorize. Alright, so the trigger here is very important. If you understand the trigger, it helps you understand instead of memorizing the entire thing. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is analyze how an increase in income tax can affect a country inflation. So keyword here is income tax. Well, when I try to do this, the first thing that comes to my mind is it's tax. Then I can write anything about it, indirect tax and so on. And then I just realized that cannot. You have to focus on income tax. Okay, income tax is a form of direct tax. Okay, it's a form of direct tax. So income tax normally will affect 2 things: consumer income and corporate. Consumer and corporate. So consumer is what we call as income tax, corporate is what we call corporate tax, right? But can I say corporate tax here? Not really, right? Because it is talk about income tax. So therefore we can only focus in the consumer part. Can get it? So if let's say the question is saying that like, oh, direct tax, then you can talk about income tax and corporate tax. Do you get it? This is only income tax. So how income will affect the country inflation? So inflation got two types, demand pull and cost push. This one mainly is demand pull. Okay, higher AD, and then you have high inflation. 6 mark. 6 mark, normally I will put three points instead of 2. But you can, if let's say this one is the mark scheme answer, you can see that it's already 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 marks for one sentence. But I do not do this all the time because I encourage students to write more points instead of elaboration more. Okay, so an increase in the income tax, reduce disposable income. It's a very, very economic terms, it's a jargon, disposable income. Okay, you have to understand the difference between disposable income, real income, and the normal income. Disposable income is the income after tax. Real income is the income taken into the consideration of inflation. So different things. So this may reduce consumer spending, lower AD, lower demand pull inflation. Very easy. Okay, and another one is, this one is the most direct one. The second one and the third one is not so direct. Let's look at it. Increase in income tax may encourage workers to press for wage rises. Like basically they want to have higher salary. Okay, because tax increases which means that they have lower disposable income now. So in order to have higher disposable income, then you need to have higher salary, and therefore cost push inflation. See that? So here we have demand pull, here we have cost push. So that's why you need to understand the causes of inflation. Then you have more points to write. Sure, can say higher employment. No, our focus here is inflation, right? It's very hard for you to drag to the point that we have employment. Okay, objective inflation. And then the next one, income tax revenue can be used to provide subsidy to those goods and services and reduce price. Yeah, this is one of it. But this one you also can say that a higher tax revenue allow government spending on what? Subsidy. Subsidy will reduce the cost of production, lower AS, lower cost push inflation. Can get it? So subsidy, lower cost of production, higher AS, and then reduce your cost push inflation. Okay. My answer is full sentence already. I would say yes in full sentence, but it's not in a proper. It's not grammatically correct. Do you get what I mean? It's just like some I just get it from a mark scheme. Some of it I didn't include. So you guys feel like, sure, I feel like I want to have more points. Can I get it? Yeah, you guys can go to this one and change this to MS, and then you guys can get the answer. Okay. Remember, don't write in point form. Full sentence. Okay, full sentence. So far so good, guys. Anyone have any question to ask? I suppose you guys are surviving well. Okay, we have so far so good. If okay, please give me a thumbs up before I proceed to the discuss question. Oh, okay. Still got some students that attend this class. Alright, so now let's move on to the next one, which is this one. Discuss whether or not government should aim for high rate of economic growth, yes or no. So this one got nothing so special, just basically why you should have a high rate of economic growth. If you remember, if this is in one of the I think it's chapter 4.2. It's talk about conflicts of macroeconomics objective. Sure, do you guys remember that? We have economic growth lead to what? Conflict with balance of payment stability, high economic growth conflict with price stability, and so on. And basically that is the answer for this. But of course we didn't use that because we didn't use the word of conflicts, but that's something that you guys can use as a reference. Okay, so why you should aim for higher rate? Let's look at it. You guys can screenshot along the way, then you guys can do it later on. Alright, so make sure that please print out and try to do it, because I know some of you guys just love to read the mark scheme and then you guys just don't do anything, just feel like you understand and then you're very lazy to do it. No, please try to practice at least one set with me. Alright, so economic growth can increase your income. Increased income means higher standard of living. Very easy, right? And sometimes students will ask me, "Che, what does it mean by living standards?" So high living standard means that more needs than one being satisfied. You get it? Basic economic problem word. Okay. And then economic growth can reduce unemployment. Yes, also good. And then economic growth can increase tax revenue, allowing the government to spend more on anything else, such as education, healthcare, spending on infrastructure also can. So remember, this is a discussed question, so you have to do both-sided answer. It cannot be only one-sided. One-sided, you only entitled you to get like 5 marks max. Okay, I know that some of your teacher tell you guys that, oh, please write evaluation. IGCSE is not as complicated as you guys think. Yes, evaluation is very important in A level onwards, but normally when we do this one, IG, use the simplest way to do it. You just need to do should or should not, yes or no, advantage, disadvantage, agree, disagree, benefit, limitation. Okay, just do a box like this, or you guys in the exam, you guys just write, oh yes, should, yes and no. I know some of you also want to write essay, you guys just write yes and no, right? I'm not saying that it's wrong, just that it's not so pro. You guys can just like should or should not, something like that. Make it more like a English essay lah. Okay. The next one, the things that they shouldn't do it is because deplete non-renewable resources, we can reduce future growth. The keyword here is future growth. Reduce non-renewable resources for what? Because it will be you have lesser resources for the future generation. Okay, another one is result in pollution. Okay, very very straightforward. And then the next one, may put other demands on workers who may have to work longer hours. Yes, because higher economic growth means higher output. Higher output means that you need to work longer unless you hire more people, but at the same time some people, they need to work overtime. That makes sense, right? Because it's not like so easy for you to get the right worker for you, and meanwhile you need to work for a longer period of time. OT. Okay, another one is risk of inflation. This is the conflict of macroeconomic objective. Why? Higher economic growth, higher income, higher consumption, higher AD, higher demand pool, inflation. So this one is very very easy, guys. Depends on your luck. Okay, can say may cause inequality of income. Definitely, why not? That one is one of the point I'm asking. I didn't put it because I'm afraid some students don't know how to use it. Yes, increase in economic growth, you tend to increase the wealth gap, also known as inequality of income. Rich people become richer, poor people remain poor. Okay, so that's what happened. And then next one, and again, you guys can read yourself. We should look at it. Identify two influence on what products a person buys. Okay, it's common sense, right? Think about it. What makes you to buy stuff? Wait, can I say higher economic growth, increase industrial output, increase pollution, increase negative effects? Yeah, here what? Yes, increase pollution, yeah, I can say so. Yeah, it's okay. And then, yeah, you have a lot of influence. Common sense, this one. Price, income, taste, advertising, availability, social media, influencer. Wow, they actually use the word of influencer. Wow. Yes, we have social media influencer, right? And sometimes we call it as KOL, key opinion leader. Okay, and yeah, anything that makes sense to you. Just two. Let's look at that. Oh, take a screenshot for this page. All right, now let's look at it. Explain 2 ways the government could decrease the consumption of demerit goods. This one is in our chapter of 2.10, I guess, market failure. This one is the chapter for market failure. Like a way for you to reduce the consumption of demerit goods. Why, just now the question, why law? Law because, I mean, sometimes they just don't allow you to buy something. Like in Singapore, you cannot buy chewing gum, right? Right or not? Law. Okay. And then here, this one, market failure. Market failure is inefficient allocation of resources. Basically, we have a problem of overproduction of demerit good and underproduction of merit good. So demerit good is not good, something that will give out negative externalities, that will cause negative externalities such as smoking and different kind of pollution. So how to stop it? The first one is tax. Use tax, make it more expensive. So when it is more expensive, you don't feel like buying it. Another one is provide information about the harmful effect. This is what we call reduce the information gap. I believe that we talked about this one last time, right? I say that why sometimes people will still smoke, because they do not aware of the side effect of it. Correct or not? You do not know the bad things about it. So provide information to reduce the information gap. Another one is set minimum price above the market price. So actually just make it more expensive. So got one more. You guys also can use it. Education. Okay, education or even advertising can reduce it. Can get it? So advertising, or maybe some, advertising is more towards awareness, and education is more like educate them and lead to a behavioral change. It's like a long-term thing yet. Okay, quite straightforward. And then let's look at the C. Analyze why workers may join a trade union. All right, trade union. Yeah, guys, this is business study as well. So I believe that this is not hard, right? Trade union is an association that try to protect the right of the worker. Keyword, the right of the worker. They do not have any obligation to help you to gain, for your personal benefit. No, it's just your right. You deserve it, and they can fight it for you. Okay, it's not saying that your salary is already very higher than the others, and you still need to get a higher salary. You cannot do that. Okay, it's just like a right of it. So the first one, to gain greater bargaining power through industrial action. Yeah, here is that why you want to join the trade union. So join the trade union basically just for two things, right? First one, more higher salary. Second thing is higher salary, higher income and so on. Another one is protect you from anything like unfair dismissal, or maybe they will just harassment, anything. Okay, just protect the right of the worker. So for this one is to gain greater bargaining power, to negotiate with employer higher salary. See that? Better working condition, health and safety, fringe benefit. All of this is to fight for your right. Okay, and another one is to represent them in dispute with employers. So if let's say you have some discrimination happens, and then they want to fire you because you are too handsome or too pretty, and then, oh, I don't like you, I fire you. They cannot do that, right? They have to be justified. Okay, and then the third one here is to gain greater influence on the government. Yes, this one is quite interesting, because I say that the first one is like the benefit, and then another one is to protect you from some harassment and so on, and then the third one here is increase minimum wage. Some company, they will just pay at minimum wage. They're not doing something wrong. They're just following the rules, but minimum wage might be too low. So yeah, then they can put pressure on it. Okay, through what? Through industrial action, like strike, protest. Okay, pay raise. Okay, they do that a lot in Western country, but in Malaysia, the boss is always right? Okay, so now the next one, discuss whether or not tertiary workers are paid more than primary sector worker. So something interesting here is tertiary worker and primary worker. So primary sector is the kind of industry that focus on the extraction of raw materials such as mining, fishing, and so on. And then tertiary is more like service. When I say tertiary, a lot of people, the first thing come to your mind is like what? Atas job. The kind of job is very atas one. Lawyer, doctor, accountant, engineer. Yes, that's the first impression. But remember, the keyword here of this entire tertiary sector is about what? Service. So janitor also provides service work. Cashier also provides service work. Waiter also provides service work. Do you see that? So there's a lot of job there are, like this kind of job in tertiary sector. They might have lower salary than those that are working in primary sector. Okay, farming industry might earn more than I mean, you work in the farming industry, you work in the oil, you work in the oil and gas industry, definitely you have higher pay than working as a janitor, right or not? So that's why my trigger point here is waiter versus farmer. You see that different in earning. I didn't use the word doctor because if I use the word doctor, it's very hard for me to trigger. I don't have that much of point. But I say waiter and farmer, then we have more things to write. You can see that the skill for both type of job, they have almost similar skill. Correct or not? It's not like super highly skilled job or job that need high qualification and so on. No. Okay, different in earning. Yes, if you want to self-study, this one is in 3.1 or 3.2. I'm not sure. 3.2 if I'm not wrong. Different in earning. Okay, 3.3 or 3.2, somewhere around there. Okay, so let's look at it. We have quite a lot. First one may be more skill qualified. Yes, waiter, normally service sectors require more skill. At least you need to able to communicate. Okay, at least. And then another one may be more productive. It's very subjective, this more productive thingy. And then another one is tertiary product may have higher value added. Yes, you see a surgeon, you see a specialist there, they charge you like 180 per hour because they have skill, and that service provide higher value. And then tertiary product may have higher demand, so the industry may have higher ability to pay higher wages. Yes, this is for sure. Okay, like we go back to the doctor case. Doctor earn more high demand and low supply, and therefore they can pay higher salary to them. Okay, and why they are not paid more? First thing, maybe because if we focus on doctor, it's very hard for us to talk about this because doctor is almost 100% pay higher than primary sector. It's almost impossible for this primary worker. We are not talking about the boss. We're talking about the kind of worker, employees earn more than doctor is almost impossible. It might possible, but very low chance. So if I use waiter, easier. Okay, maybe less likely to belong to a trade union. Yes, if let's say they are farmer but they belong to trade union, the trade union able to protect them and fight for higher salary. Some worker may be low pay job like cleaners, janitor. Yes, low pay job, and cleaner they are service work. Some may be less experienced. Yes, waiter might be inexperienced compared to farmer that have been farming for like 20 years, or carpenter is not primary. Fishmonger, okay, very experienced. And then the primary job may be more dangerous, like mining. Yes, mining is very dangerous, and they tend to pay higher salary. Okay, high salary. So far so good. Can take a screenshot. Can I say tertiary sector may be entitled to trade union? Not only normally, guys, trade union will protect manufacturing and primary. Tertiary they don't really need to protect because tertiary sector they are already getting high pay and more benefit by nature. But primary and manufacturing, primary and secondary, they tend to offer low skill job. So low skill job, you do not have bargaining power. If you do not have bargaining power, you're gonna bully. So therefore you need trade union to protect them. But tertiary sector is different. Most of the time they are already protected. Alright, so far so good, guys. Okay, please give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Okay, there's a lot of thumbs up today. It seems like everyone a bit kanchiong already. Normally ask for thumbs up, probably just like 5 or 6. Now almost everyone giving thumbs up. Focus already now. Kanchiong already. Exam. So for number 4, we have this one, prioritization. So prioritization, and again definition. So privatization, make it private. Okay, from a state-owned company to become a private company. But based on the definition here, it's not only firms, it can be asset as well. Okay, so now something interesting already. Explain the difference between absolute poverty and relative poverty. So absolute is what? Absolutely poor, cannot afford basic necessities. But relative poverty is you compare to the others, relatively speaking, you are poorer than them, poorer than your community. Okay, so 4 marks is a bit hard, right? Because based on the definition, you only get 1 marks. So what they do, they provide example. You get it? So now I believe that you guys will start to have a clue in your mind that, oh, if I do not have point, can I give example? For A and B, yes. Okay, to make your point stronger, to, sometimes don't, not all the question you just write, oh, for example, for example, for example. No, a bit annoying. If you feel like you do not have enough point and you feel like your explanation is not very good, very solid, you can try to use example to let the examiner knows, because we cannot assume everyone have very good English proficiency, can write very good English sentence. No. So sometimes you cannot write, or sometimes you cannot think of some fancy words or some economic words, you can use example, okay, to enhance the understanding of the examiner. The first one is just definition. First one, lack of basic necessities, cannot afford necessities. Example like what? Food, clothing, or housing. Another one is being poor in comparison to other people. To be more exact, it's not other people, it's people in your community. Singaporean versus Singaporean, Malaysian versus Malaysian. Okay, even Singaporean, they are very poor, they earn 500 SGD, but come to Malaysia is higher than our 500 times 3. Yeah, higher than our minimum wage already. See that? So cannot compare in that case. All right, again, nothing so interesting, you just like that. All right, take a screenshot. Why not just a whole page? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So analyze how specialization can benefit firms. Poverty, can I say unable to afford luxury goods? Not very solid. I think I understand what you are trying to say, because you want to say that rich people can buy luxury stuff, right? So if you cannot afford, then you are considered as poor. No, because relative is not necessarily everyone able to buy luxury product, but at least they have car, they have house, they can fulfill their basic necessities. That is the bottom line. Not necessarily buying luxury things that only consider as good. Okay, a lot of people in a country that do not have money to buy luxury stuff, then can you say that all of them, they are in relative poverty? Cannot say that, right? Okay, so analyze how specialization can benefit firms. So this one is firms are not like consumer. Sometimes in the exam, please be careful. Sometimes they just write, oh, specialization that link to that link to worker, or that link to a country that specialize in producing one thing, and why is good and why is bad. Okay, so now let's look at it. The first one here is worker becomes skilled and producing a particular product, lower cost of production, raise revenue, and raise profit. So now, why? Because when they keep on doing the same thing, specialization means that you are doing the same thing over and over again to a point that you are very good, very efficient, and high efficiency linked to high productivity, and also means that lower cost of production. Can get it? You think about it lah. If you keep on doing the same thing over and over again, you make lesser mistake. You make lesser mistake, then you have lower wastage. Lower wastage, lower cost of production. Yeah, you can explain it this way though. Okay, and raise revenue and raise profit. Yeah, you can say that they actually give you like 1 mark and 1 mark for each of them. It's so easy to get marks. Okay, and again, I will just encourage you guys to write 3 points rather than 2. Let's look at the second benefit. May enable firms to gain advantage of economy of scale. Why? Economy of scale, we have 2 types, internal and external. When I talk about this one, it's more about internal, because you are producing more and more and more, so you have higher output. When you have higher output, you have lower average cost. And where this lower average cost come from? Economy of scale. Okay, so that's why you can just say that because they are very good at the things, they have higher output, they can enjoy economy of scale, such as bulk purchase. Last time you need to produce different things, but now you need to produce like a very specific things, a particular things. Then what you do, you buy a lot of raw material to produce that. You can enjoy bulk purchase. Okay, so you can explain more about this. For example, like what kind of economy of scale that the company will be enjoying. The next one is improved technology. Yes, specialization allow them to buy more expensive technology. Okay, because last time if you produce a lot of things, you cannot, I mean, you cannot afford to buy so many different type of equipment, right? It doesn't make sense. But now you only produce one thing. Then you can just buy a machine. Okay, improve technology, speed up production, and become more efficient. I think in the masking there will be more than that. But just use 3 of them. Alright, take a screenshot. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so let's go. We have this one, discuss question. Okay, why not like this? I'm not going to do anything. You guys think about it. I have a triggers for you already. So the triggers, when you see this, supply side policy measure will reduce unemployment. So the keyword here is expansion of firms, higher output. Because you have to think about it, how to reduce unemployment, basically how you make more people being employed, how you increase job opportunity. 2 ways. What? Expansion of the firms, business expand, they hire more people. Another one, higher output, higher demand for worker. So you think about the supply side policy, which of them can be used? I think almost all of them, right? As long as you can link those together. This is a very, very interesting question. I'm serious, this one is very interesting, and you guys should pinpoint this one, because if you understand this, probably you can understand supply side policy already. Okay, certain, in econs there will be certain topics. I think I will post it on my Instagram, like the topics every year, every batch. I will just provide the same thing. Those are what we call as a famous question. If you do not know which past year to go through, you can always focus on those questions. I'll put it on my Instagram later, because those questions is what we call as a conceptual question. It's just like, if you understand the question, if you're able to do those questions, you understand the concept of it. Just like this question is one of it. Supply side policy reduce unemployment. If you do not understand supply side policy, you do not know how it works. Well, of course it's bullshit. But anyway, will reduce unemployment is interesting, because supply side policy can link to inflation, can talk about economic growth, can talk about unemployment. So you are trying to use a supply side policy to link to job. So let's go through what type of what supply side policy do we have first. We have 5 of them. Of course, we have more. We have like trade union reform, we have tax reform. I don't really touch that because a little bit hard and dangerous, because for example, like tax reform, if you do not know how to use a tax reform, you link to investment and you stop there, you become fiscal policy. Very dangerous. So I believe that all of you have been joining my class for so long, you guys should be able to do it, right? So but I'll just focus on 5 of them. Very, very easy. Privatization, subsidy, human capital investment. Human capital investment is basically like human capital investment, invest in the people, education and training. Capital investment is technology. Deregulation is lesser control, like lesser tariff, lesser regulation. The objective of this is to increase competition. Then they will compete more efficient can expand the business, then voila, more people being employed. Okay, so supply side policy is a policy that increase your AS. Bear this in your mind, and let's look at it. Supply side policy will reduce unemployment. We look at the left side first. We have this one, prioritization. You see I have prioritization, subsidy, and human capital investment. Prioritization, increase efficiency, higher profit, expansion of business, higher demand for worker. This is how I like points. You have to link it to make it a full sentence. Okay, and subsidy, lower cost of production, higher output, higher demand for worker. Common sense. And then the next one, human capital investment, more employable. You train them, provide education and training, increase their skill, make them more employable. When they become more employable, then they will get a job, lower unemployment. Okay, and then bad things, no. Capital investment, capital intensive, replace worker. Yes, if you spend a lot of money on capital investment, better machine, they will replace worker. You become capital intensive production. Okay, and then deregulation is like more competition, bankruptcy, layoff. Do you should remember that? Deregulation is about competition. Lesser control, more competition. If the company cannot compete with foreign company, GG lah, bankrupt. Bankrupt, high unemployment. Do you get it? So, well, it's kind of easy, right? Come take a screenshot of this. Very important, this one. Alright, so far so good. Can say subsidy can say not enough to lower. Subsidy is not enough to lower cost of production. If you want to, if you want to criticize it, you can say firms might, might not pass on, or maybe a bit hard lah, or maybe you can just say that subsidy is not efficient. They are not efficient. When they are not efficient, they won't increase output. It's just very chill out. You get it? Supposedly lower cost, then you have high output, right? But in this case, no, they're very chill. They don't care. Inefficiency. Okay. Alright, so now the last one, question 5, and identify reward for labor and reward to the land. Oh my god, so easy. CELL, capital is interest, enterprise is profit, land is wages, and land is renter, labor is wages. Alright, now explain how an increase in the worker income can affect mobility of labor. Well, first thing, it's very rare. This is very rare, and in the textbook they don't really explain a lot of this one. Mobility of factor, mobility of, it's not only labor. In the topic, it called as mobility of factor of production. It can be capital, it can be labor, and it can be land as well. So mobility, as you can, from the name itself, it says that how mobile it is. Mobility of labor means that can I switch from one job to another job easily. Capital, mobility of capital as is like, can this equipment or machine use on another thing? Do you get it? So mobility of labor. So far so good. Okay, so the mobility is whether can you move from one you use on this one and then now you use on other things. So next is how increase in worker income can affect the mobility of labor. So the trigger point here is like this. You think about it, you have high income. How high income allowed you to change job easily? So when we come to mobility of labor, we have two types: occupational and geographical. Occupational is one job, change to another job, and then geographical is because sometimes they want you to work the same thing, but they want you to work in another state or another country. If you cannot afford it, or maybe you have attachment here in the country, then you cannot go work. Do you get what I mean? If let's say most of the employees in the company, they have family, so it's very hard for them to, ask the whole family to go to another country to work. Is it? So this is what I call geographical mobility. Okay, so worker have high income. How to increase the mobility? Education. You can do more job right now. Let's say I'm a teacher. I have high income. I can, increase my skill, and then I can provide different things. For example, I can teach MF. I can teach biology. So I can switch from one task to another task. Is it? So let's look at it. This one is not easy, so you guys can look at it, and I believe that 90% of you will dodge this. Okay, first one, an increase in income will enable a worker to spend more on their education, increase occupational mobility. Occupational mobility is one job to another job. And then high income will make housing more affordable, geographical mobility. You can work in that country because it's cheap for you to do so. Why? Because you have high income. And then way 3, Higher income makes it easier to afford car, use public transport, increase geographical. It's the same idea with the second one. The second one is about housing, and then the third one is about transportation. You get it? Because last time, if let's say you want to work in another place, you need to have car. There's no access to public transport to that area. You need to buy a car, but you got no income, low income. Can you buy a car? Can you buy a car? You cannot afford it. But now, increase of the income, then you can buy a car. All right. So that's it. Not very hard. And the next one, interesting. Using a demand and supply diagram, how a greater awareness of health benefit of eating fruit will affect the market of fruit. So what is the subject here? Subject here is fruit. Okay, fruit, and then greater awareness of health benefit. When you do demand and supply diagram, the first thing that you need to do is always identify, is this a supply or a demand factor? Greater awareness of health benefit, is it a demand or a supply factors? You think about it, supply is mainly about cost of production, and demand we have a lot of way. So greater awareness is a demand factor, right or not? So we know that it's a demand factor. And then what happened here? Greater awareness of benefit, people will eat more fruit or not? Yes, right? Higher demand. So when it comes to this demand and supply diagram, normally we talk about the shift of the diagram, either shift in or shift out. We have two things, guys. First one is movement along the curve. Movement along the curve is what we call as price factors. Higher the price, lower the quantity demanded is what we call price factor. And higher quantity demanded is what we call expansion or expansion in quantity demand. Lower in quantity demanded is what we call as contraction. So that's what we call price factor. But this one is non-price factor. Non-price factor is about shifting left or shifting right, because as you can see, there's nothing talk about price. They got mention anything about price or not? Dada, right? No. So it's a non-price. Non-price, left or right. First thing, think about it first, how it looks like. X and Y axis. A star students should always use a subject. Fruit. Okay. So how it looks like? Just like this. Demand increase. That's it. So when talk about this demand and supply, you need to explain first thing, is it a demand or supply curve? Here, demand. Second things, change in the quantity, equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. This one is price factor. This is non-price factor. Price factor is this. So you have P1 and then you have P2. You see that? P2, Q1, Q2. Lower price, higher quantity demanded. You get it? So lower price, higher quantity demanded. This is what we call extension or expansion. Yeah, from A to B, movement along the curve. Very seldom you see this. Very seldom in IG. Most of the time will be this one. Okay. And then take a screenshot of this page. Try to understand it. Please memorize this. Demand and supply factor. All right, so far so good. If okay, give me a thumbs up before I move on to the last one. Yep. Is that very hard? I don't think so, right? Just like what usually one mark, one graph, 5 marks, three and 3 to 4. Normally it's like 3 marks. Explanation got marks, so you cannot just draw the graph. Okay, again, so graph normally will be demand and supply and PPC. Most of the time, inflation very seldom. So when we come to graph, 2 of them. Okay, easy marks, please, exam. I don't want to see you guys cry in the examiner hall. Okay, IGCSE very easy. Trust me, okay, very easy. Just make sure that you spam more. So this one is annoying. D. This one is what we call as a niche. Very seldom you see this kind of question. And personally, I don't really touch this. Okay, I don't really touch this. First thing is because it's like a beginning of the chapter. Students already forget. Second thing is you need to understand what it is, and most of the time when students explain, they cannot explain fully, completely. They cannot get full marks. So, but it is hard. No, you just the triggers here will be advantage and disadvantage. You type in Google advantage of market system. That's it. Disadvantage of market system. That's it. That's it. Legit, this is the answer. Advantage and disadvantage. So market system, market economic system, benefit and economy. By the way, anyone still do not know what's mean by market economy system? We have 3 types: market, mix, and plan. Market, only consumer and producer. Consumer and producer, we decide what's the price and what's the quantity being sold in the market. That's what I call market mechanism. And mixed market, we have a private sector and public sector. There's an involvement of government. And then the third one, which is planned economy. Planned economy is government is the boss. Basically, the government will allocate the resources. Okay, 3 types. So now they ask you, market economic system benefit economy means that economy, there's only producer and buyer. How it benefit. First one, profit incentive, and competition may increase efficiency. Yes. And then the another one is country product may be internationally competitive. As in here is you want to compete because of market economic system. You want to get higher salary, higher profit. You need to be more efficient, and in order to do that, you have lower price, international competitiveness, higher international competitiveness, or higher quality as well. So basically compete. And then the third one here is more choices for consumer. This is kind of subjective though. It's not like a super good point. It can be more choices or less choices as well. The reason why here is more choices because there's no restriction of government. As long as anything that can make money, they will sell it. That makes sense to you? But sometimes government don't allow it. What do you get what I mean? Like in Malaysia, there's certain things like airsoft gun. Okay, it's not drugs. Drugs is illegal, but airsoft gun, a lot of countries they sell it. What? Japan, Hong Kong, like even US, they have airsoft gun. But Malaysia, no, it's banned. So is it more choice? No, because there's involvement of government. There's a restriction. And then let's look at the harms. It's not good, bad lah. Public good will not be provided. No government. There's no government. There's no provision of public goods, such as what? Straight light, signboard, highway, public toilet. Will you build it? Will you build straight light for people? No, right? Even though you say yes, will you spend money to build the signboard for people? No, right? Okay, a risk of market failure. Market failure simply just to say that negative externalities, problem of pollution and external costs. They aim for profit. They don't care the way that they produce. They will pollute the environment. They will dump the wasted, harmful material into the river. They don't care because there's no government. No one stop them from doing that. And monopoly may be created because there's no government. No government control. For those who certain industry will be monopolized. Will be monopolizing the market. They can charge whatever price they want. Okay, so advantage and disadvantage. It's a good one, I would say. It's not like I believe that a lot of students will dodge it, but since that we are doing it, but this one they will ask in the A, B, or C. D very seldom. Okay. Alright, so far so good, guys. Okay, not 1 hour and we are done with all of them, and assuming that you guys got screenshot okay. After this one we still got one more paper, so for this one, go through it. If you guys have something that you don't understand, let me know in the chat box. I'll explain it to you. Country product may be internationally competitive. It's like this one, competitive here, then you can compete with another, you can sell it in another country. At first, if let's say you're not competitive enough, then your quality is like sucks, the price is high, you cannot sell overseas. But now because of you have more competition, you become more and more efficient, then you can sell more. Yeah, you need to export. Yes, because they say economy is about export. It's everything. Not a good point I would say. Not like a super good point. I will use this one and this one. You see, I put 3 boxes, right? Normally when we don't do 3 boxes. We just only like do 2 boxes, correct or not? Because 3 boxes is overkilling, too much. But now practicing, just try to understand more. Just learn as much as possible. So far so good, guys. Well, let's conclude this one. Can you really write that short? No, this is in point. In exam, you just put it in sentence. You do. Remember, econs is not English essay. Not saying that you have longer essay, longer sentence, which means that it's better. Master always keep things short as possible, and you can understand. You get it? How, why, so, how it works, why you use, why, and so what, how, why, so what's the impact of it, what it is, definition, how it works, causes, factors, and so on. Then so is the impacts, consequences. Just use comma to link. Okay, full sentence be lazy. Okay, don't be lazy. Okay, but this one is good for you guys to do practices, because ask you guys to write in essay, sometimes it's just too troublesome, it's just tedious. What we need is point, right? So you guys can do like this, like how we did previously in our class most of the time. Alright, that's it for this set, and yep, go through it and take a 3-minute rest, and then we go through another one. I'll drop the file into the WhatsApp group. Okay,